Oh my goodness, we have had a few dramas this morning and I cannot wait to fill you guys in on what has happened here at head office. But actually, to be honest, I've been sitting here ready and pumped to go and we've just been waiting for the crew on the ground to get together. For anyone who has ever been in Cairns before, there are 2 hotels under the name of Mantra, and it can, to be fair, get very, very confusing as to what mantra you're meant to be meeting up at. Now, folks, for those of you who have joined in and signed in from the beginning, thank you for sticking with us and getting used to that music that's just been going on around and around in your ears since we've just been riffing and trying to figure out what to do until everyone came together. But we're here. Before I cross over to Cairns, can you guys just leave me a comment? Let me know if you can hear me okay. I want to make sure that that is all good before we cross over to Belinda and the podium finishers. First place, Amelia Watkinson, and third place, Renee Kiley. So if someone can just leave me a comment, let me know if you can hear me okay. Which always concerns me, because if you can't hear me, you're not going to hear me asking you that question. I do love it when someone says loud and clear. Typically when I say, can you hear me? Brett is always like, yep, loud. I love it. Okay, before we cross over, thank you everyone for letting me know. Yep, got it. Cool. We're good. I do want to give a shout out to all of the people who helped pull this Cairns coverage together. It wasn't just yesterday's coverage, it was Saturday's pre-race show and today's show, and then everyone on the ground, including the awesome woman we're about to cross over to as well. But also we had Ash Thomas, Kira Seidel, Luke Alexander, Ash Gentle was thrown in there a little bit yesterday as well. And Els Visser, who were giving us updates throughout the day. Thank you so much. All right, let's get on over. Sid has just said, how many coffees are you on this morning? I've only had 1 so far, but haven't eaten, so I'm buzzing. All right, here we go. We're crossing over to Cairns live with our roving and riding reporter, Belinda Granger. Welcome back to the studio. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh my God, I think I'm just as stressed as I was yesterday. Oh, what an adventure that was this morning.
I reckon you worked harder this morning going from one mantra to the other on that clunker of a bike to get...
I'm sweating. It's ridiculous. Worse than yesterday. Oh, crazy.
I don't think
Look, I tell you what, the problem is I did know that there were 2 mantras. And I did know that one was Trilogy and the other one was just the normal mantra. The problem is when you look at the address for Mantra Trilogy, it says the Esplanade, which is the front street where the athletes run. But the entrance to the Trilogy is actually on the street back, and that's where the big name Trilogy is. So if you're riding up and down the bloody Esplanade, it's nothing, there's no name. So thank God I finally stopped after I'd done about 10 laps of the Esplanade this morning. And I asked a really nice couple who I said, do you live here? They said, yes. I said, where is the Mantra Trilogy? And they said, oh, that's a tricky one. Don't worry. And it made me feel better. They said the entrance is actually 1 street back. So as soon as I did that, bang, I was here. So, and luckily for me, Renee is a lot brighter than I am. And she'd already figured it out. So she was here and waiting, ready to go.
Okay, BG, we've got the 2 women that we're going to bring on camera any second now, but I mean, shout out to your boob sweat. We're already getting comments about that. Can't help yourself.
It's real.
Belinda, I really want to know, because especially towards the end of the day yesterday, you were actually getting a little bit emotional.
I tried to fight it, Steph, so many times.
But what was so special for you being out there on the race course yesterday?
You know what? There's a few reasons. The most obvious in this particular climate is because it's just so exciting to have a full distance race. I mean, I think for a while there, many of us thought it wasn't even going to happen next year, let alone this year. So to have a full distance race with such a quality field was beyond any of our wildest dreams. Secondly, for me, I think everyone knows that it's always been more than a sport for me. I've been in it for 25 to 30 years now, and it's always been more than just sport. And the last reason, because every one of those females, I am proud to say I'm friends with, and they are just beautiful human beings. So, seeing someone like Renee and knowing her story and seeing where she's come from and where she is now in, let's be honest, a bloody short amount of time, it's hard not to get emotional. Then I found out another story about Amelia. Oh, I'm going to do it again. Amelia last night when I was out at dinner, which I already knew she was a freak of an athlete and a beautiful person, but to find out how tough it's been for her this year and how she's had to actually get a normal job to get through this time and to still see her perform at the level that she did yesterday, well, I couldn't be prouder of these females. They're just incredible. Incredible.
I think you've nailed it in that during these past 6 months especially, it has been pretty tough on everyone for so many reasons, but from a professional's point of view, we didn't even know if this race was going to go ahead.
No.
A few weeks ago, they still didn't have the COVID safe plan approved. So, and it's all well and good to continue to train for an event, but if, still that niggle in the back of your head, not really knowing whether it was going to go ahead. And I think that was why, or one of the big reasons why we were just so determined to get some kind of coverage up there and give the respect to the athletes. And while we cover the professional women, it was more about, just celebrating the sport as well, which does include the age groupers and the professional men as well.
Yeah, we gave them a little leeway yesterday.
Yes.
The women's race was far more exciting. Let's be honest.
And it was. It absolutely was. Okay, that's enough. I'm going to pretty much just throw the baton to you. You know what to do. I'm just going to sit here and just fangirl and listen to you guys have a chat. But can we please, I'll welcome them on, and then Belinda, you do your thing. Please welcome to the Witsup Cairns post-race show our champion, Amelia Watkinson, and third place getter, Renee Kiley. All right, Belinda. Hi, guys. I'm going to let Belinda throw a few questions your way. So, also, just before we start, in terms of them being quite close together, in Queensland, there aren't sort of social distancing rules. Queensland's actually, the most of Australia is completely fine. It's just me and Victoria, stuck in a room. But these women also spend a bit of time training together and stuff. So they spend a lot of time breathing on each other, let's be honest. So I'm sure Belinda stuck her tongue down your throat at some stage last night. She tends to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you did not get a pass from Belinda last night, then you're not doing your job.
I was very restrained last night, but it was pretty exciting. I controlled myself, Steph. Come on.
All right, Belinda, I'm going to let you just start throwing questions at our podium finishers. Over to you.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with Amelia, just because she is now our winner. Amelia, honestly, the last 2 weeks for you, almost surreal, I suppose. I was there commentating when you won Sunshine Coast, and now, watching you cross the finish line in a race that, I'll be honest, I mean, if you look at my coverage, I didn't think you were going to win it. I knew that you were going to. I thought the positions that you ladies were in, Sarah in first, you in second, and Renee in third, you all looked great. And I just thought that was the way it was going to remain for 42K.
We didn't all look great.
Yeah. Well, you look better than some. There are a lot worse out there, that's for sure. But does it feel real?
I didn't think I was going to win either. To be fair, I spent the day being chased by Renee, and that was actually what I suppose what was pushing me. So I really have to thank Renee for that. She got every single possible thing out of me, and catching Sarah was a result of being pushed. I didn't think I was going to catch Sarah. I think Meredith ran past the other way at one stage on the last lap, and she sort of looked at me and said, Sarah's 200 metres in front of you. And it kind of dawned on me just there at the 4K to go mark that 4K is what, if I run fast, I can be under 20 minutes. So best they get going.
And when did you actually truly realise that you had her and that she wasn't going to come back?
Oh, I know that Sarah's a massive fighter, and we saw her and Lucy at Kona, and I kept on running hard down the finish chute, hence my non-smile at the finish line again. There's a really neat bit at the back just before they kind of tease you. They take you past the finish line, and you've still got another 2K around the bars and the boardwalk. So the terrain's a little bit slower, and there's people in corners, and you just got to keep on going.
And obviously, you're from New Zealand. You haven't been able to go back home. We've claimed you anyway. We've claimed it, by the way.
Yeah.
Has it been tough for you, though, not to go home and see family? Obviously, you live very close to where I live in the Sunshine Coast in Coolum. And I know you live in Coolum with your partner, Alex, who also raced yesterday. Well done, Alex. But has it been tough knowing that, you can't go home to see family?
I guess I could have gone home if I wanted to. I guess my life is in the Sunshine Coast now, and I was happy to stay here. It was going to be more beneficial working towards my prime goal, which is to be an athlete, and we've got a really good setup here.
And I think I did notice some family members on the Witsup live coverage.
Yep, I think Mama Watkinson and Mama Polizzi were tuning in, I think.
That's cool, very cool. Now, Amelia, the big thing that I wanted to ask, because I had no idea, is obviously during this time, I know a lot of professional athletes. I don't think people even realise this. Is not only have they had no racing, which means no financial income coming through in terms of prize money, but a lot of sponsors are doing it tough now as well. So a lot of their sponsorships have either been halved or taken away completely, and so it puts you in a fairly, terrible predicament where you're not getting paid prize money because there's no races. You're not getting paid sponsorship money. So someone told me a little story last night that you and Alex actually had to start working during this time, cleaning apartments, high-end apartments, mind you. But this is, and yet she's still able to come out and give the performance that she did yesterday. I mean, it blew me away. And obviously, this is hard work. So how long have you been doing this for, and how have you also fit your training in around that?
I guess I find it a bit embarrassing.
No, embarrassing. I think you're a legend. No, don't.
Triathlon's always been the prime goal. So.
I didn't mean to ask you the hard question so early, but I am so blown away by this girl that I honestly, this is a story that I think needs to be told, because I don't think people out there know just how hard it's been for these professional athletes. And everyone's like, yeah, but it's sport and you can get a real job. This is their damn job. This is what they work 30 hours plus a week for, and they've been unable to do it. And so many of them have had to say, well, I'm just going to have to. Yeah, that's right. No job keeper for so many of them. And they've had to scramble just to pay the mortgage, just to pay the rent, just to put food on the table. This is how hard. Amelia's not alone. I've heard probably a dozen stories of the same thing with these athletes really struggling to do what they love to do. And I think Amelia sitting next to me is testament of just how incredible this young woman is.
Yeah.
And Amelia, we're getting so many comments. Do not be embarrassed. You're amazing. We love you. And this is for all the pros as well. And again, this is why we found it so important to showcase this race and give you guys this platform and the recognition that you deserve, because the world doesn't look like it did six months ago, 12 months ago. And it is really, really hard and not just pros, but for anyone to take a step back and go, well, my life looks different. I need to find different ways of surviving. So not only have you proven that you can survive through this, you've also shown, both of you, by landing on the podium yesterday, that in some way you've thrived as well. And it is a full credit to everyone out there yesterday, but particularly you too. You should be, this should be one of your proudest crowning moments in your career, honestly.
Yeah. And by the way, little thing, if there are any potential sponsors out there,
Yeah.
I rate this woman so highly. She's gone from my top 10 to right up to the top of the rung, honestly. Unbelievable. And she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So.
And also, just for the record, it didn't sound like you had put money on yourself there, Mills. But I'm just gonna bring up Steph Hanson's top 3 picks prior to the. Here we go. Oh wait, hang on. That's Belinda's. She didn't have you. Wait. Oh, Steph Hanson. Oh, look at that. Watkinson. Look at that.
Thank you,
Wow. She knows her shit. That woman. Anyway,
we just need to get triathlon into the TAB, huh?
Yeah, you'd be a millionaire right now.
Actually, back in the first year of Ironman Melbourne, it was, I think Mary Beth Ellis and Caroline Stephan. I think I won a few dollars there as well.
Bucks.
But anyway, back over to you, Mills. I'd love you to respond to all the the messages are just flying in at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's been tough for everyone. I totally acknowledge that, and I think that if I've always gone with the motto, if you want something bad enough, you find a way, and I think most of us have applied that, and that does make it so much more rewarding when we get to do what we're supposed to be doing, and it makes us hungrier. So I'm honoured to be on the start line with so many girls that all really pushed through and made that start line. Some really experienced athletes like Sarah and Beth and Meredith, that have been at these crazy beasts of a distance for years. I sort of let them set the bar, and it's quite special to be able to come away with a win. It's also a Kona spot, which is a big deal. I've always wanted to go to Kona. I've had a poster up on my wall. A previous pro athlete was one of my neighbours, Jo Lawn in New Zealand, and she was on the podium, and I sort of thought, that's a bucket list race. I don't know if I ever thought I'd really be doing it, but a year from now,
yes,
we will be.
We'll be cheering.
And I love listening, because I think that's kind of what's missing from the sport a little bit here and there. Things like, I had a poster of my, someone on my wall, and we don't hear about that very much these days. And again, this is why it's so important to showcase the women, so that younger athletes can see what you guys are doing and what you're capable of and what they are going to be capable of. So I love those stories. BG, let's throw to Renee, who I can see some tears as well. So let's see how she goes.
Well, the great thing about these women, actually, the great thing about the top 5 women yesterday is they're all in the same team. They're all coached by the same coach, which I will talk about a little bit later, because I think I want to understand the dynamic there. It'll be quite interesting. Another juicy question. But yeah, Renee, we know how hard she's been working. Obviously, we know Renee. She's spent some time in Noosa. She used to live underneath Beth and Luke McKenzie's place. They have a little unit there. So we've all seen where Renee's come from. We haven't seen where she actually started. We know the story, which is incredible within itself, to see how she's changed her life around. But just to see the progress from when she started, when she first made that decision, you know what, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be better. I want to become an elite athlete. And to see where she is now, I always think it's great to see hard work pay off. And it doesn't always, Steph. It's not always that automatic. And so to see it yesterday, and I must admit, of all the women that I was watching yesterday, the determination in the face of Renee Kiley was something special. So I knew that she was not going to lose that podium under no circumstance. But she just kept getting stronger. And I'm like, oh, I actually think she's making time up for Amelia. And it got to a point one stage when Sarah started to fumble. Amelia was catching Sarah, but Renee was catching Amelia. And I saw Cam Watt standing in the bushes, because I think he was deliberating, going, what the hell do I do here? What do I do? What do I say?
He cheered for nobody.
No.
Yeah, he's like...
And that's why I think he was, when I say standing in the bushes, I think he put himself there. He's like, I don't want them to see me. Yes. I had such a chuckle, because I thought, I'm glad it's you and not me, buddy, because I don't know what I do. But Renee, you didn't make it a secret on social media that you trained hard for this event, and you came here with a purpose, and you delivered. And I think when you crossed that finish line, even though I knew that was your goal, maybe there was a little piece of you that thought, is it actually a possibility? And when you cross that finish line in third, even before that, I know you spoke to me a couple of times with maybe a kilometre ago going, is this happening? Is this really happening? So I think it was still quite surreal for you.
Yeah, I actually Cam's message before the race, going back a step, like I'm just so sick of being average, and I have a bit of a different, yes, my weight loss and all that stuff's a different story, but financially I have a different story as well. Like I don't have any sponsors, I'm self-funded, but that money that I have to self-fund was really, I worked really, really hard for that for 10 years. Like I busted my backside to earn that money. So for me, it's different. I still feel stressed about the money, like this year I'm like, gosh, this is going to be another $100,000 of my money that I've worked hard for. No one's giving me that money, it's mine, with no racing and no opportunity to earn money. So it's like similar but different in that way. I'm just, at the start of the year, I was like, I can't be average at this anymore. Like I'm not in the sport to be making up numbers. I'm not in the sport to be coming 5th, 6th, 7th down the line. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not what I'm spending all this money and time and effort for. So yeah, this year was, we have to improve. I have to get better. I have to be like on that podium regularly. Otherwise, I'm just not sure whether this is worth it for me anymore. With Sunshine Coast a couple of weeks ago and getting that result there, which probably doesn't look that amazing on paper, but for me personally, to be up the front with these girls 2 weeks ago, and not only that, I don't have the speed because of my background. I'm much better at the Ironman distance. So 2 weeks ago, Sunshine Coast result, I was like, more impressed myself than probably anyone else was, because I know that my Ironman pace is not actually that much slower than my half Ironman pace. After that race, it was a big eye opener, and Cam was just amazing. My coach Cam, after that race, he just said, "You are at the front now, like you belong at the front." And he said before this race, don't feel like an imposter, Renee. Like you're not an imposter at the front of the race. You belong at the front of the race. So it was like yesterday, I still revert in the race. I still revert to that, oh my God, like I'm not sure I should be here. Like I kind of just be happy with where you are because it's good and you don't really belong at the front. So it's kind of that mental battle all day of that. Then no, they're just like a couple of minutes ahead. Like you can catch them and you deserve it. And yeah, you should. So it was that mental battle that the last lap was very super emotional. Like when I went past Belinda, I just said, I just can't believe this. So I'm just, more than anything, just relieved. Just really, really relieved. But I kind of wish Amelia had a bit more of a crack and beat me by like 15 minutes or something. It made it feel a little bit better for me. Like just to know that Sarah was like a minute and a half and Amelia was 3 minutes. It was really happy, of course, but it makes it a bit more difficult to digest. Right?
Well, it's interesting because normally when you get conditions, I'm not sure if all our listeners realise out there, but we had Kona-like conditions yesterday. It was windy on the bike and it was incredibly, like, stifling hot on the run, hot and humid on the run. And so normally when you get conditions like that in this sort of race, times are exacerbated. So you do get much larger gaps. So just to see the men's race and the women's race and how close the top three were in both, it's incredible because it really shouldn't have been like that. It should have blown out. Yeah. And it did. If you look at the results after that, it had blown out. It was exactly as we thought. But the top three men and the top three women were just incredible and so close and so competitive with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharon Kiley, who is she to you, Renee?
That's my mom.
She's a legend.
She's signing in, is like all about girl power, and I think you got a proud mama over there. Hey, I've got an interesting question, and would really love to hear your thoughts. Pete Coombe has said Renee has had a history of problems with heat, slowing down towards the back end of the race particularly, but clearly not yesterday. What have you done anything specifically to address that, or was it the leopard print suit?
No, to be completely honest with you, I was very concerned. Like, I've spent the night in intensive care with heat stroke after one of my races, and I've walked 2 marathons at Kona as an age grouper. I've been traditionally terrible in the heat, and not only in racing, but even in training. Like, I slow down a lot more than my training partners and stuff. So I was really concerned, but I wasn't about to put anything like that on social media because I hate when people like make excuses before the race even starts. So I was really concerned, but I came up to Cairns a week early. So earlier in the year, Brisbane had like a month of really like 95% humidity at the back end of summer and some really hot days. And I actually did a couple of really big run weeks, or maybe 2 or 3 big 80 to 100K run weeks during that time. And I remember finishing those runs like in the shower, shaking, like I was so in all sorts because of the heat. So I really think, obviously, the being in Brizzy summers for the last 2 years has really helped. But also, I've my body's changed a lot over the last couple of years. Like, with my background, I have a bit of excess skin and stuff from the weight loss, so I don't think that helped. But I am probably at the leanest and lightest I've ever been, and I think that does help as well in the heat. But I'm just as surprised as everyone else about yesterday. Like, yeah. But one thing I did do all day, I was so smart. I kept losing. We rode, the 3 of us rode together for quite a lot of the bike leg, but I kept losing the girls when I wasn't in front. I kept losing them through the aid stations because I was taking so long through the aid stations to get everything on me, and then I'd have to like push to bridge back up again. And the run yesterday, I walked every single aid station except for the very last one at the finish line. Wow. So my training peak spiral just goes up and down like that. But that's what I had to do otherwise I wouldn't have made it. Like, I was aiming to run 4:30 to 4:35 between aid stations, which gave me like the extra time to walk through the aid station. But a couple of them, my bike lady that was behind me, the first couple of aid stations, I heard like slam on the brakes because she was like running 4:30 pace, and then like all of a sudden just stop, and then I was like 10 cups of water and ice and everything. But after the second one, she was like down with the strategy. She was like braking early. She's like, I got this stuff. She's like, she's going to stop every single aid station. Yeah.
I'm actually, we just threw the results quickly up on the screen then when you were chatting, and you 3 all ran like within 2 minutes of each other. So it was, but it was like a little bit of this throughout the entire marathon. And then Kylie Simpson did a 2:57 in those kind of, just absolutely flying. I want to jump back over to Amelia for a second. I think. Particularly seeing your Sunny Coast performance, and then seeing you out there yesterday with a big thanks to Belinda and all of our people out there who was like, everyone felt like they really saw most parts of the race. And I'm not going to say it looked like it didn't look like you did it easy, but you looked kind of like in control of yourself. Like that's how it kind of came across to me. But really, this is only Renee's done more iron distances than you. You've only done 2 iron distances. What kind of approach did you take into it, particularly when we found out how hot it was going to be? We spoke about this a lot in the pre-race show. Maybe the more experienced long distance athletes will bode a little bit better because they've got that more experience in dealing with all, the tougher conditions and everything. And really, you're not that experienced over the longer distance.
Not at all.
So what was your kind of approach to the race?
Yeah, I led the swim out for a moment. I actually think I had quite a big bunch on my feet, so I needed to put a little effort into the sun to drop Renee, so she wasn't going to be starting the bike with me. We didn't have a terribly fast swim, actually. I think I'm a good enough swimmer. I'm normally used to making the front bunch, which means I don't have to do all the sighting.
All the work, yeah.
And all the swimming myself, but that was different yesterday, which is a nice challenge. And once I hit the bike, I was fast through the transitions. There's no point losing time there.
Really?
And,
Something to work on.
And really, it was just to start easy. My first Ironman was at Frankfurt last year. It was similar hot conditions to yesterday, and I blew up. And I think everyone's blown up on a training session or a race before, and there's kind of not really a point of return. So as long as I didn't do that, I knew that the day wasn't going to be so bad. And I did the same approach on the run. I thought I started conservatively at 4:30 pace. I was a bit worried as Sarah headed up the road, but again, I knew that I could pick up the pace. Ironman pacing I actually find really difficult because my preferred distance is 70.3. So I'm normally training, zone 1, zone 2, 5 minute 30 pace, and the same on the bike. And then for half Ironman, I'm trying to run sub 4 minute Ks. So this Ironman, I feel like my run split is incredibly slow because I never train in that zone. But it sure felt hard.
I've been hanging to ask these girls. I didn't get a chance yesterday. Did you guys know out during the bike that 1, Sarah had been given a penalty? Yep. 2, that there was no penalty box out on course, that she would actually be serving it at the end. And did you realise that is the reason? Because we obviously we were out there for some of the bike. I couldn't get right out there. We could get to one of the turns, but then we came back and we'd heard that Sarah had broken away. And we thought, wow, that's quite unusual. I would have thought that Sarah would have stayed with the 2 women, the 3, because it was comfortable. And then she would have used her running experience to run away from them, onto the marathon. But all of a sudden, we got splits back that, no, Sarah's got 1.5 minutes, Sarah's got 2 minutes. I'm like, what is going on here? And then obviously Amelia and Renee were still running together behind. And then it dawned on us, we just happened to be where the penalty tent was, not even thinking that we were there for a reason. I was with Luke McKenzie, and all of a sudden Sarah comes screaming in to the penalty tent. And we're like, oh, hold on a second. And I said, Sarah. And she goes, yeah, I got a penalty quite early on in the bike ride. Yeah. And I wondered if that was her strategy and if these ladies realised, because the timing was impeccable. Basically, Amelia Renee came into T2 just as Sarah was leaving from her 5-minute penalty. It was timed to perfection. So we had a scenario where the women were starting to run together. But did you know that was her strategy when she took off?
Oh, we knew that she had penalty. We didn't know that was her strategy. It was great. We had a motorbike technical official with us almost the entire ride.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. I can vouch for that.
She was like circling like a horse.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was great. Yeah.
So that's why our bike split might not have been as fast as normal. We weren't really allowed to work together.
We were like shitting ourselves.
Yeah, no,
especially after she got that penalty, I was like, every time we came up to a hill, I was like slamming on the brakes and like making sure there was like 30 meters distance.
Yeah, and I think Sarah's strategy was good. It was a good one because it did mean that they all entered T2 together, which is what was going to happen anyway. But I think where Sarah let herself down is I think she panicked, and I think she probably took off out of T2 far too quickly. And tried to get that gap that she wanted, that safety gap, which looked like, for most of the marathon, looked like she was going to hold. But I think it really came back to bite her in the backside in that last bit, which allowed, and Amelia just got stronger and stronger, and same with Renee. And it was just such an interesting dynamic for me personally to watch, because we happened to be there right at the time when she came into the penalty tent, and then to watch it unfold from there.
Should we just it was kind of exciting because we could only really accurately get a split of our differences at one far turnaround, because it was a bit weavy at the other end. So you sort of saw glimpses of people, but they looked really close, but they still in fact had another 500 meters to go.
On the run.
No,
I was going to say, should we share our little
Yes.
Of course you should.
No, it's only
us. It's just the 5 of us here. Don't worry.
So when Sarah banged into town and dropped us, she was just gone. And anyway, we'll tell them I'll tell them what I was thinking about you in that last bit. So we were all riding together and sharing turns and whatever. And
legally,
of course,
I can vouch for that.
Actually, more than legally, because we were so stressed about the technical official. Sarah went flying off the front, and this is when you have maybe 50k to go, I think.
50K of headwind.
Yeah, wait, I'm getting to that. It's like everyone knows that's really tough. It's like block headwind. It's like riding in a clothes dryer.
It's ugly
hot,
too.
like,
It's on a highway on this rough terrain.
disgusting. Witches cones everywhere.
Traffic
things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sarah went off. I think Amelia was in front of me, and then Amelia's chain dropped going up a hill, and I was like,
yeah, that's right.
I was like so happy. That so then I like put in like a 2-minute effort trying to like make the most of her bad luck, and then I turned around and like she was there, so she was only on the road I think for 30 seconds or a minute or something, and then anyway she was behind me, and then she went around me, and I was like, right, stay with her,
and I was like, right, Renee, let's
work
go
together.
Work together and catch up Sarah.
But then we hit an aid station, and obviously Amelia's made it very clear it's stupid to slow down through aid stations, whereas I thought it was smart. So I lost her going through the last aid station before town. So, but I wanted to like punch her because I took my time through the aid station. She I could see her grinding, like pushing away, and I was like, Amelia, if you want to do this, like ride into town by yourself, what are you doing?
Come on,
we should be together. And she took off, and I couldn't bridge the gap, and then so I just pushed really hard in that last 40K, and I only caught her about 5K from town. I could see her in the distance. I was like, oh, we have both just ridden solo in the worst part of the course. And we just probably cooked ourselves for the run. So yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was
gosh.
Funny in
Funny, but
hindsight.
funny in hindsight. Not funny at the time.
No. Hey, just because I know that you mentioned this in the coverage yesterday, and we've got people asking, first of all, and sorry to bring this up, Renee, Kona slots, there's only one for the women. So the way it worked is it went for every 10 athletes, there was one Kona slot. So having less than 10, there was one for the women, and having between 10 and 20 meant there was 2 for the men. And Sarah Crowley already had her spot. So no matter where she finished, there would still be one spot available. But the prize money, as it was to begin with, the Asia Pac Champs, and they still called it the Asia Pac Champs. But yeah, there was a lot more prize money, but that did drop before the race. Belinda, you gave us a bit of a rundown on what that was yesterday. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, the prize. The thing with the prize money, as disappointing as it is, the athletes knew what that prize money was. That was brought out quite some time ago, so they'd had time to wrap their heads around it. So even though I didn't like the new prize purse, at least it was something that they'd informed the athletes about quite a ways ago. So, it was dropped down to $40,000 US. I think paying top 6, the winner got $6,000 US, and then it significantly drops off. But what I was just a little agitated about was this new decision with the Kona slots was literally made days ago. I mean, it was something that the athletes were only told very, very close to race day. And I really just don't understand why the change. I don't understand why there was a need for it. With the prize purse, things have been tough for everyone. They knew they weren't going to be able to get an international field. It was basically going to be really anyone living in Queensland or South Australia, and not really anyone else. So while I'm not agreeing to it, I understand the reasons behind it. But with the Kona slots, I don't get it. I don't see why we couldn't have equal slots like we would normally have, or at least 2 each, and then maybe give an extra one to the men because they had a slightly larger field. Slightly. It just didn't make any sense to me because, they're still, the women here and the men here are still working just as hard as they would on any given occasion, whether it be the Asia Pac Champs or not. So, and I just think leaving things like that till late in the game, I just think it's cruel.
There's not much accessibility to races to be able to
qualify.
Races like that still might not go ahead.
Absolutely.
So they're going to have all these spots. Like, it doesn't make sense to reduce the spots at the races that can go ahead.
And why did they reduce the slots for the pros, but yet the age group races, they had 75 slots? And I think we've all got in our head, and I know this is the way I've been thinking, is that, okay, this year's a write-off. As soon as we get to 2021, January 2021, COVID's not going to exist anymore and we're just going to go back to normal. Well, we know that's not going to happen. So we realistically don't know when the next full distance race for these men and women is going to be, to allow them the opportunity to qualify. So I didn't understand the reasoning behind it, to be honest.
And the field, I think, for the women was
That was outstanding.
No, but it's not bigger than the Asia Pac.
Yes,
last
yeah. It was a quality field. So yeah, a bit angry about that one. You can't tell.
We've also, and some people are saying we still don't even know whether Kona will go ahead in 2021 as well. So there's that sort of in the back of everyone's mind. I'm really aware that we've taken up quite a bit of your time this morning, but I just want to throw back to Amelia again for a second. What does the winner of the Cairns race do now? Like what now?
I want to ask her what she's doing today.
Yeah.
We're actually going on a little boat trip out to Green Island.
Oh, beautiful.
There are a few full-day excursions, but you had to be up at the crack of the dawn to get on the boat. And we had this interview, so...
She chose us. She chose us.
So that'll be nice. Explore. I'd actually like to come back here at another stage. There seems to be it's a beautiful part of the country, and I didn't really know about it.
Yeah, true. I do have another question for you, and prepare yourself, Amelia, because this may be the toughest question you'll be asked in 2020. From Megan Hawkins, any cake requests?
Any cake requests?
Yeah.
Meg is our housemate, and after Sunny Coast, she beautifully hung up a string of congratulations, balloons, and made us a cake. So it's pretty special to have a housemate like that.
She needs to outdo herself now.
Yeah, what's she gonna do? It was
a few balloons.
Yeah, double the balloons, but double the distance.
Yeah.
And more cake.
Yeah.
We burn more calories.
I love it. And I think your mum said something about you get to eat again, or I don't know. She was.
Yeah.
I've missed it. I don't know. I think she was having a little dig at you somewhere, but now I've lost the message. Oh, here we go. Amelia raced for first so she can eat again. That's what. Is that Rosemary? Is Rosemary your mum?
Excellent. My younger sister did message me last night and said that Mum was glued to the computer screen all day. So that's pretty nice.
I love it. Great. Same question to you, Renee. What's next now?
I'm so ready for a break. I haven't had a break all year. It's been and actually people don't know, I came off my bike again in training a few months ago. But I kept training right through it, and it's taken all my mental energy this year to keep picking myself up. So I'm looking forward to not seeing any protein powder, electrolytes. Don't care about my bike for at least a week, and then I'll have another active recovery week after that. I'm trying to I applied for a wild card at Daytona, and it's highly unlikely, but God, I would love to be on that start line, especially after the last couple of races, feeling like I could really be up there in the mix. Other than that, who knows? There's no races. I don't even know.
Happy Birthday 100.
Oh, Happy Birthday 100. Yeah,
yes.
I'll definitely be there. If I can get an entry, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the Harvey Bay 100 crew and Jeff over there.
hey Jeff.
Maybe Renee, in the next month or so, we'll hook you up with some bike skill lessons to just keep you on the bike.
Oh, God.
To speed her up through the aid station.
Hey, this time 6 years ago, I hadn't even ridden a triathlon bike. So
No, you're impressive. Listen, I rode, there was only one part of the bike course that we could physically get to, because obviously the bike ride went from Palm Cove, and then they did 3 loops out there, and then they ride all the way back into Cairns. So Luke told me it was 5K to that first turnaround from Palm Cove.
Anyway, right there, on your bike.
On my clunker. Anyway, we get to Ellis Beach, and he's like, oh, I swore it was here. That was 5K. It was another 5K on that, so 10K on my clunker to get out there. But to watch these women, and okay, it wasn't a drastically tight U-turn, but it was still pretty tricky. And these women, the way they were riding it was equivalent, if not better than a lot of the pro men. It was pretty cool to see, and I'm like, yeah. So bike skills, even though I know Renee has got a habit of falling
They've
off
all
a bike.
been mechanicals, just
Bikes,
so everyone
yes.
knows.
Bike skills yesterday were pretty spick. I was impressed. I would have been clicking out and boot scooting round the corner. So yeah, they did well.
We need to get a bike that can handle your watt bombs, Renee.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Geez. All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us at such an early time, the day after the race. But as we all know, no one sleeps the night after they've raced an iron distance. I assume you're all jacked up on adrenaline and sugar and caffeine and all the good stuff. Finally, before I let you go, and I'm going to throw you under the bus here, I would really love for Amelia to give me your thoughts on Renee quickly, just in 30 seconds, and then Renee, I'd love to get your thoughts on Amelia.
Of the race, or just attack Renee?
We love giving each other shit.
I'm going to go with dealer's choice. Whatever you like, just attack her. That's great. That works for me. We need a bit of banter. No, about your opinion of how she raced and her as an athlete.
I loved seeing the fight in Renee yesterday. I'm not exaggerating when I say that she pushed me to my limits. I was literally afraid the whole entire race that she was going to catch me. We were both fighting for a Kona slot, and I'm sorry, Renee.
Don't be stupid, mate.
But it's pretty cool when you can have competition like that. We don't do that much training together, but we're on the same squad. We definitely give each other a lot of stick, and it's a bit of fun that keeps it competitive and lighthearted all at the same time.
Nice. Renee?
I just love this girl, honestly. Like, I'm going to tell them, like, when you started with Cam in the Hills District, I didn't want her to be in our squad.
Yeah.
No, and that's the truth. Like, this is being honest.
I get it.
She came into training, and I was like, oh, God, Amelia's so... I didn't know her. I knew of Amelia, but didn't know her. And I was just jealous. Like, she was such a good athlete. She looked so fit, and she's so, like, beautiful, But then I got to know her, and we actually spent a fair bit of time at St. Moritz together last year. And
in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I actually apologised to Amelia for feeling that way, because I just realised what an amazing and humble person she is. Like, I actually just love her to death, and I wish that we could spend a bit more time together. Unfortunately, we can't because we live in different places, but she's just so humble. Yesterday, I'm not going to lie, I was like cursing her so many times yesterday, and I was repeating my mantra in my head, Amelia, she's going to break down, she's going to slow down, she's only a 70.3 specialist. Yeah. And another thing that we love heckling each other, she always is talking about how slow Ironman people are. I get so fired up. Like, she'll be like, oh, I did this awesome run session, I ran like 3:18 pace or whatever, and like I'm just jealous, so I've got to like put shit on her to make myself feel better.
I think you ran faster than me yesterday.
Yeah, no. And I was like, oh mate, you must be on track for a 2:40 marathon. Like, doing those sessions at 3:18 pace, like rolling my arms and giving her shit. So we have a lot of fun when we do see each other, and yes, it is bittersweet, like missing that Kona spot, but my opinion on that is if you're good enough, you'll get it at another race. And I couldn't be happier. If there's anyone in that field to take the win yesterday, I couldn't have asked for anyone else than Amelia.
This is awesome. We're getting such great feedback that I can't even go through it all. But I do want to just quickly on that note about joining squads and having someone better in the squad than you. That woman in the middle of you both, I guess, is proof. Is old, but is proof. You've been on, part of teams and squads and training with other people who were better than you, and that's part of your thing is that you say that you don't have this talent, but you've worked your ass off for years, and that's what made you the success that you were. But it was also that you were surrounded by other strong, incredible female athletes, and it depends on how you approach those kind of relationships. And it can actually, other people can lift you up where your strengths may not lie. And I think it's really interesting to hear your switch in your approach to it.
Quick story. I mean, when I was with Sutto and Chrissy Wellington came on board, if you read a book, that's not a lie. We were horrible to her. We did not want her in the squad. We did not think she was good enough. She was an age group athlete. We didn't take age group athletes on in our squad. And we gave her absolute hell for 6 months. And in hindsight now, it was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to our squad, because she, not only did Chrissy lift every single athlete that was in that squad, men and women, she lifted the quality of the sport in general around the world. Yep. So, and this was a female we didn't even want there. It's what Renee is saying happens in every single squad around the world. And if you've got a great coach, that coach knows whether that particular person will work within your squad or not. And I think, Cam's obviously doing an exceptional job when it comes to the females in his squad, because he had top 5 across the line yesterday. Yeah. I mean, you can't do any better than that.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Belinda Granger has just called Amelia Watkinson the next Chrissy Wellington. You heard it here first.
Yeah. No pressure.
Honoured.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to round out the show by myself. But Belinda, thank you for all of your insanely hard work, not just yesterday, but over this week and getting up to Cairns at the last minute. Really appreciate it. Renee, in my opinion, race of the day, just in terms of I think you really put a lot of, from what I understand, a lot of your own demons to rest yesterday, based on what you were talking us through, what was going through your head during the day. But Amelia, I picked it. Come on.
That's all she's got to say.
No, you won. Steph, you won.
I'm the winner.
You're the real winner.
I am the real winner of the day. No, Amelia, outstanding race. It was. It's just been a real joy watching you grow as an athlete. And I don't know. I really like your approach. And we spent a lot of time with you guys over the last few weeks, getting video content and chatting to you all. And from my point of view, it's been really interesting watching your responses and just sort of. Yeah, sitting back here and watching you guys build up to this big event, and couldn't be more pumped for your win, Amelia. So congratulations on that as well. Thanks, ladies. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Steph. Awesome job you guys did yesterday.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Wow.
See you later.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our podium finishes, Amelia Watkinson on the top step of the podium. And Renee in third in the best race of her career as well. And I think we're going to see some big things from both of these women. Now, in the background, I can hear these guys still talking, so I'm actually just going to hang up on Skype because no one can concentrate when they're talking. Folks, thank you so much for spending time with us over the weekend. We really appreciate your support. We had, as you can see here, partners, Cervelo, Marlow Republic, Win Republic, former Smart Swim Goggles and Recovery Lab, who at the last minute we said we've got these ideas for Sunny Coast and for Cairns. We need your help to help us provide the platform to give these women the exposure that they deserve. So a massive shout out to our partners. They also helped get Belinda up to the race in Cairns as well and helped give us snippets throughout the day. I want to be really clear that this was the Witsup coverage. This wasn't in any kind of affiliation with the event organisers. We did this all off our own bat. I want to be really, really clear about that. Finally, if you enjoy what we do here at Witsup and you can see what we are capable of and you want to continue to see us doing what we do and what we love, please consider jumping on board to become a Witsup patron. All you have to do is head to patreon.com/Witsup. It's $5 a month is, that's all it costs, or you can pay more if you want. That's up to you. but you will feel all warm and gooey inside knowing that you're helping us to continue bringing you great content, great coverage, amazing stories, and highlighting women across sport. We would really appreciate it. And finally, the last thing I would like to say is if you want to go in the draw to win some awesome prizes from our partners, just head on over to the Witsup website and click the banner ad at the top. That just means you're signing up for our e-newsletter. You also need to follow our partners on Instagram, and you can go in the draw to win some amazing prizes. The link is in the description of this video, so just click on that and away you go. I am going to leave it now with a bit more. Let's just have a quick look at the final results from yesterday. Obviously, Amelia Watkinson in 9:20.39, followed by Sarah Crowley and Renee Kiley in third place. Those three women were pretty even across the board, as you can see. And then I guess the most outstanding run split of the day, Kylie Simpson with a 2:57.06, which is phenomenal in those kind of conditions. We keep scrolling down, and just to let you know, if you weren't aware that Laura Dennis did crash very early on in the bike and did not finish the race, and Els Visser did not start the race due to a bit of a niggly injury, and she pulled out the day before. Shout out to Shannon Sutton, who still managed to finish the race, but obviously had quite a tough day out there. But congratulations for getting to the finishing line. I don't have any updates on Laura Dennis. I did see that she commented on some of our coverage, or on our final post, I think. I assume that she's okay just based on the feedback that I've got from other people up there, but I don't have anything officially confirmed. But I know that she can type. She can either do this or this. So her hands are okay. So that's a good sign. Once again, massive shout out to our sponsors, massive shout out to you guys. There's no way we would have put this together without you. Thank you so much. It's time for me to have another coffee and have a break. Actually, Sid has just said, shout out to Beth, absolutely massive shout out to Beth McKenzie. This is her last iron distance. I believe this is it. Full stop for Beth McKenzie. She was one of the people who helped pull this together with Marlow Republic and Win Republic getting on board and getting Belinda Granger on the ground. Thanks, everyone. Not always very good at wrapping things up. You know I love to have a chat, but yeah, thanks again. Take care of yourselves, and I might even just crawl back into bed. Why not? Take care, and we will see you all on the flip side.